Hey, everybody. Welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey, Katie.
How's it going?
Uh, sometimes weird shit happens. I started the recording, and then I'm supposed to add myself back onto the screen as Katie does, so that we're here when the recording, start when the intro ends.
Yeah.
And instead of doing that, for some reason, my computer chose to just kick me all the way out of the recording completely. So I'm clicking as fast as I can through the screens I have to click through to get back in time to click so we don't have to restart the recording. Katie's just got this look on her face like,
Well,
but I made it, by God. I made it.
you did.
I don't know what happened there.
You did.
That's
You're
a
on the
pretty good
wrong
sum up.
side.
That's a
but
pretty good
it's
sum up
okay.
of my week thus far. So how are you doing? We know how I'm doing.
Well, I mean, I'm fine. Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm good. I've been working, we've got our first fair coming up on June
Yes.
4th. And so, and if you guys are new to us, that means that we do witches markets and psychic fairs and craft fairs. And Kristi and I both are makers, and we make and sell various things that we make, and my husband Scott as well. So yeah, I've just been making. It's really kind of crunch time, and whew, have a lot in my head. But yeah, I've been making tumblers and cups, and yesterday tote bags, cutest tote bags. I'm so excited about. Uh,
Yes, I want
embroidered
one.
ones. Yeah, they're turning out really cute. Yeah, so lots of good stuff. I'm kind of at that point where I have so much in my head, and
Mhm.
obviously I still have some serious sun goggles on, but
I didn't want to say anything about the raccoon eyes, but
this is even
you
with
look
a
like
little
this all
makeup.
summer if you haven't been with us in a summer
It's
before.
true. I this is how it is. But anyhow, other than that, I'm so good. Our Everyone's so happy right now here that the weather's nice. The pigs are so happy just outside doing their thing and having fun, and
Right? It's
I'm
like,
all about it.
what? Because we
Yeah.
don't really get spring. We get winter, second winter, third winter, fourth, fifth, possibly
Yeah.
sixth, a little construction, and then summer. That's
And
pretty
boom, it's
much
summer. Mhm.
because it
Yeah.
is just overnight summer. On Sunday, we cleaned our backyard and had a barbecue, had these guys over for a barbecue. And it was like, my God, my apple tree is blooming. I don't even know what that just happened overnight. And it looks
Mine
beautiful,
too.
but it happened
Yeah.
so quickly. Like there's nothing eases it. Idaho doesn't ease into
Mhm.
anything. Everything is abrupt here.
It is. Well, and our beehives, we're putting our beehives in this week. Our hive died over the winter. It was such a
Oh,
cold, terrible winter.
it was.
It was just too cold.
That's so
So
sad.
sadly, that new hive we had just started that was really thriving and doing awesome. Yeah, they died. Awful. But we're all set and ready. We have two new hives, or two new boxes of bees coming this
Now,
week. So
can I make a suggestion based upon what happened last year when you brought your bees home? Would you please wear your hoods and use
yes.
your smoker this time instead of just trying to, I don't know,
just
with bare ass naked faces and no
just
smoke, put your bees in
raw
the
dog with the bees. We're so stupid. I don't know.
hive.
Last year, now we've kept bees lots of times, so we should know better. But I don't know what was going through our heads last year when we got our bees. And you get them in kind of it looks like a mini frame that bees, are in, and your little queen's in there, and you've got your setup.
Mhm.
And it's kind of amazing because you can watch them, and they're in like the box is just mesh stuff, so you can watch them and hear them, and it's amazing.
Oh,
Kind of
cool.
terrifying to be holding, thousands of bees in your hands, but it's all good. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't know what we were doing. We went out to the hive. It was all set up and ready. We opened that sucker up to let the bees into their new hive with no smoke, no gloves, no hoods, nothing. And as soon as we opened it, we both looked at each other and went, "Oh, oh God, what are we doing? What are we doing?" We both got stung. And I will say that hive of bees were super aggressive, way more aggressive than ones we've had in the past. So I'm hoping
Well, they knew you were unprotected. The other ones had been smoked, so they were a little less aggressive.
dumb as hell. So anyway, yeah, crazy. I got stung right here on my head. It hurt so bad.
Oh.
Well, anyway, Scott got it twice, so he got it a little worse than I did. But I mean, that's what you get for being idiots. So yes, this year we're determined to not be stupid and take better care of ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
I'm glad to hear that.
nicer too. Man, that last hive was aggressive. Every time we had to work with them, they were really aggressive. So
Wow.
we'll see. Hopefully these guys are a little more pleasant and
Well, I can't wait to hear about when you put them in the hive.
you're coming up. You're helping.
No, I am not. No. I've been stung too many times. I react now. So
Just wear a hoodie. You'll be fine.
Oh yeah. Bees can't sting through fabric. What?
No, I don't think so. That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Anyway, today we are here for a lot of things. We're going to update you on Bryan Kohberger and the Moscow murders because quite a few things have happened recently. But first, you're going to kick us off with something, and I can't. Oh, Florida Man.
It's Florida Man. Oh,
How
yeah.
could I not remember that this is Florida Man? All right. Take it away.
Unfortunately, this story does not involve an alligator. And many Florida Man stories, because if we've learned anything from Florida Man stories, crazy people love alligators.
That is true. Yes.
Or people that are, real high on life. But no alligators this time, but I think you'll still find this interesting. So I had initially found a story about a man over the weekend who was walking down the street completely naked, just walking into businesses and basically getting just, manhandled out the door, walking into a gym where people are working out and just walking straight up to people with the junk right in their faces,
What the hell?
getting tossed out of there, and, like, he's just making the rounds, walking up to people on the street and just
And
I don't
everyone
know,
was like,
completely naked.
no, sir,
Yeah.
no.
Uh-huh, yeah. Finally, some folks wrestled him to the ground and tried to hold on to him until the police came. He managed to slither out and get away, and
Oh,
so I was trying to find more info on that story, but that's all I could find. But when you Google Florida Man naked, well,
the Google gods, they offer up a lot, I would
you
imagine.
should prepare yourself for what you're gonna get. I actually found two more stories. A story from back in April where a man was walking completely naked down the street in Florida, and when the police caught up to him, he had no idea where his clothes were and told the police he's from a different Earth, not this one.
Oh, Lord.
But then there's this fellow right here.
Oh, no. Is
Yeah,
that a trampoline?
that's a trampoline.
Oh, good God.
Yes. And yet that's a naked man, but luckily, the police, this is actually from vest cam footage. They were kind enough to blur out the parts nobody wants to see ever, especially,
Mhm.
on Instagram or whatever. It's fine, but so let me tell you about this guy. This is Blake Tokman. And Blake earlier this month decided, I don't know why he decided, but he broke into multiple homes in a neighborhood. And so the police were called because a man had broken into somebody's house, and people were home, and when he saw them he ran out and ran to another house and broke a window and broke into their house. The police get there and they identify that he is now in the pool.
Oh.
He's been completely naked the whole time. And so the police find him in the pool, and so everyone starts yelling and spotlighting him. He's in the pool. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, my God.
He jumps out of the pool, completely naked, covered in wheel grease and peppermint oil.
What?
Nope, no idea why.
I cannot fathom the purpose for those two ingredients in combination.
He's also bleeding like a mofro because he cut himself up breaking windows. So his face is bleeding. He's covered in peppermint oil and wheel grease. By the way, that peppermint oil on open wounds must have felt great. Don't know about the wheel grease. I've never done that. But anyway, he runs from the pool and leaps onto these people's trampoline where he face plants onto the trampoline.
Wet and covered in grease? Yeah, this is going to end well.
Can't really get up. So the police jump on him and they can't get him arrested because he's slippery as hell.
Mhm.
It takes 4 of them to get him cuffed and off the trampoline and into custody. He does kick a police officer or injured. He lacerated somebody's arm.
Oh,
So
jeez.
he's got all kinds of charges now
He
from
probably
breaking
had
and
really
entering.
long toenails. This is one of
Probably
those long toenail guys, isn't
long toenail guy.
he? Ugh, gross.
Well, he clearly didn't have a shiv or anything because I don't think so.
Mm.
But at any rate, they did
He only
finally
had
get him
one
into
place to keep
custody.
it.
Right? He is charged with multiple, crimes from breaking and entering, vandalism, resisting arrest, injury to a police officer. Probably could have got him with public nudity, but I don't even think they bothered with that one. So, and then do I smell some peppermint oil theft here somewhere? I don't know. I'm just wondering.
I can hear the homeowner in the background going, Marjorie, we're going to have to drain that pool.
And her going, yeah,
Bleeding in your pool. Oh, God.
yeah.
And still no known motive for this
No.
criminal mastermind?
Mm-mm.
Just high as balls?
Nope. I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume drugs are bad. Oh, that's my thought. But anyway, I'll just give you one more look for the comedic value now that you know how we ended up there.
Good
But
Lord.
so I guess note to self, if you're running from the police and you're covered in grease,
and
don't hop
soaking
up on
wet.
a trampoline because that's going to be the end of you.
What was he going to do? Like bounce a few times and then jump over the fence to the house?
There's 3.5 minutes of vest cam footage that is absolutely hysterical. I believe it's linked in the article that I will put in my case notes. I'm not sharing it because I don't want to get kicked off of TikTok. But so anyway, Blake, I don't know what to tell you, bro, but maybe don't do that again.
I guess that's the end of your wheel grease and peppermint oil business, sir.
That's the real reason he told Marjorie they had to drain their pool, and she went, I can't ever smell peppermint oil again.
Yeah, never again. I'm off mint forever. That's sad. Wow, poor guy. Well, let's hope Blake gets the help he needs because clearly he needs some help.
Yeah, Blake, time to cash it in, get some help. Admit that something's going terribly wrong in your life. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And to all of the police officers that had to endure that, hopefully you also get the help you need because I just can't imagine that was fun at all.
No, not fun in the least.
The image of 4 officers on a trampoline wrestling with this naked, greased, bleeding guy.
Oh, that's classic right there.
Guys that are going, I should have retired last month.
Right. Oh my hell.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Well, thank you for bringing us that excellent case.
You are just more than welcome. Thanks, Florida Man, for always providing.
Oh, always.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to kick the mic back over to you for our main case.
Okay. Well, for our main case today, let's talk about this criminal mastermind, Bryan Kohberger. Quite a few things have been happening recently that we actually get to know about. And thanks to Dateline, we know some other things as well. Okay, I'm going to give that a caveat. We know them because Dateline reported them. Do we know if they are true? Not necessarily. I know Dateline really prides itself in their accuracy and in their sources and stuff like that. But I always kind of, believe things with a grain of salt there, here and there with stuff like that, because until it's actually reported by the court, by law enforcement in a trial, we don't know for sure if it's actually been proven. I'm going to say that, but I'm going to tell you about the Dateline episode because,
especially because of what Judge said.
Yeah.
Because Judge said, we don't have any leaks in this courtroom, and I don't know where Dateline thinks they're getting this information from.
Yes, and Dateline's made it clear that they have multiple sources in this case. So somebody's ass might be in serious trouble because they've violated the gag order. So I don't know. But we know that last week, bombshell, Bryan Kohberger was indicted by a grand jury. Now, he's had a preliminary hearing scheduled for the end of June for months and months. And suddenly we find out there won't be any preliminary hearing because they have already convened a grand jury and they indicted him on 4 counts of first-degree murder and burglary. So that was very interesting.
Yeah.
We'd all been really looking forward to the preliminary hearing, frankly, because in the preliminary hearing, they literally have to present evidence to the judge that they have that justifies the charges that they have brought against Bryan Kohberger, and the judge will then decide if he is indicted.
Right. Because really, most of what we have now is just from the original arrest affidavit, which was very compelling. I mean, there was a lot there.
Compelling. Yes, but there's
always more. Yeah.
There's a lot more according to Dateline. But the other thing that happened is Bryan Kohberger was finally arraigned. He still has never even been arraigned because he wasn't officially charged yet. He has now been arraigned on all 4 counts of murder and the burglary charge. He stood silent, and defendants have that right. They don't have to say guilty or innocent. They can say nothing. And if they do that, the judge will enter a not guilty plea on their behalf.
People are losing their minds about that, and I don't understand why. Lori Vallow did it too.
Yeah, people have the right
that
to
ended
do that.
for her. Yeah, doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't. People do it for various reasons. Sometimes people do it because they don't want to recognize the authority of the court over them. Which, good luck, whatever. You're an American. The court has the authority. Some people, choose to not. When you say guilty or innocent, you are admitting your involvement in some way. They don't want to do that. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why they don't, but it doesn't mean anything. Yeah, just defiance. I'm not participating in this. Doesn't matter. He's just entered, it was going to be not guilty anyway.
Right.
It's not like there's been any plans for Kohberger to plead. He's not going to plead. No. He is extremely arrogant and quite sure that he has used every forensic countermeasure he needed to make sure that he will be exonerated. He's made that clear in the past, which I think is pretty hilarious because we're finding that he was not the criminal mastermind he thought he was.
No, not even close.
No. So that happened. So now we finally have an official plea and charge. His trial is set to begin in October of this year. And the prosecutor has 60 days. Yeah, 60 days to determine whether or not they will go for the death penalty. I think it's pretty easily, we can say quite easily that they will, definitely. This is 4 first-degree murder counts. They're going to go for the death penalty. Yeah. I find it interesting. Keith Morrison on Dateline said, it's well known that Idaho loves the death penalty. And I'm like, I don't think that's actually as true as maybe our legislator and our governor do, but we haven't executed anyone since 2012.
Yeah.
And, right now, obviously, they're trying like anything to execute Gerald Pizzuto because, of course, we got to hurry up and execute this guy who's dying on hospice, who's been on death row for like nearly 40 years.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Gerald Pizzuto committed crimes the year I was born.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we still haven't executed him. Don't tell me Idaho loves the death penalty. They hardly ever carry it out.
He's had more than a dozen death warrants that have been carried out. And the most recent ones haven't been either because, newsflash, Idaho can't get the drugs like every other state. Nobody can get the drugs for lethal injection.
Well, and as we know, Idaho has never executed a woman, ever.
Never.
And we've had women on death row. We have women currently
Robin
on
Lee
death
Rowe
row.
sitting on death row for like 30, 35 years.
Yeah,
She killed
I
her
know.
family by burning down her house.
I thought that was kind of a weird statement.
I did
Just because
too.
this is a red state, I guess.
I think because of
But
the way our governor and legislators act, it appears like Idaho loves the death penalty, but when it comes right down to it, that's not actually true.
mm-mm. You've got like
But
Oklahoma
now,
and Texas and Florida executing people right and left. We're
right, and
not.
Idaho actually doesn't. We haven't
Uh-uh.
executed anybody in 11 years. The last time they got drugs that they could execute anybody, it was because Idaho wanted to execute Paul Ezra Rhodes, who is they call him a serial killer here. He killed 3 people in our area. He was local to us. And so they executed him in 2011, and then they had enough drugs left to execute another guy in 2012. But we've seen nothing since
No,
then.
that was 2 different buys.
Oh, was that 2 different buys?
2 different buys.
Oh, I thought that was all the same one.
So the warden,
Good Lord.
they couldn't get the drugs. So the warden made a backdoor deal 2 times to execute 2 different men. Yeah, in like 2011, 2012.
Yep.
And in one case, he went to Utah, and in the other case, he went to Washington. In both cases, like in Washington, he met a compounding pharmacist that did a deal for him off the books, mixed up his drugs, had him ready to go. This was like the night or two before the actual execution.
Mm-hmm.
Paid them with a briefcase full of $30,000 full of cash,
Yeah.
and they met at 10 p.m. in a Walmart parking lot. This is how it's illegal what they did.
Totally
The
illegal.
drugs have to be registered. We have to know what they used, how much, where they came from. I mean,
Right. Which, how could we
laws and
possibly know
everything.
here
Yeah, but he did the same thing.
in Utah? I forgot about the Utah one.
Yeah.
Right. But see, we haven't done it since then. The state has not done it since
Mm-mm.
then because those were completely illegal bullshit
Mhm.
deals to begin with.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what they did do, and many people believe that this was done specifically with Bryan Kohberger in mind, is earlier this year, Idaho has reinstated the firing squad.
Yeah.
So maybe we do love the death penalty. I don't know. Will they ever actually use the firing squad? I also don't know that. They have
Nah.
to build a facility
Yeah.
to be used for the firing squad. The regulation behind it is huge, and the cost of it is millions of dollars. Like, we don't have something better to be using money on. Education.
Well, it's pretty sad because there was a bill introduced and a terribly needed request to build a new mental health facility to hold
Yes.
people that are dangerous criminals or could potentially be dangerous criminals. Because as we know right now, there are actually people in Idaho right now
Yes.
that are in prison that have never been convicted of a crime because of the dangerous status of their mental health.
Yeah.
And
So they're
so
being
just
held
this
in
year,
prison
they tried,
unlawfully.
yeah. So just this year, they tried to build a facility specifically for these folks. And our Congress, of course, denied it, all while practically in the same breath
Yeah.
approving the new death penalty measures. The thing is about that bill, it was really about the firing squad. It was really poorly written,
Yeah.
and it was written without the input of the DOJ,
Yeah.
the Idaho DOJ.
Yeah. Corrections knew nothing about this bill, was able to contribute 0 things to it,
Hmm.
but
So
now to
we
figure out how to enact it.
But of course, our legislators are like, "Yeah, we're in, buddy." So of course, and a lot of people, the talk has been that was specifically for Kohberger. That
Yeah.
that's exactly why they passed this.
They
But
want to be able to be sure they can execute him.
yeah, but again, yeah, we have reinstated the firing squad, but it is many years away from
It
actually happening.
is. It's not like it's going to be immediate at all.
No,
Not
not
at
like
all.
you take them out to the prison yard and get this done. This is
No,
a completely different ball of wax. It's stupid as hell,
it
but
is. It's extremely stupid and wasteful as usual. Because
mhm.
welcome to Idaho, where our legislature spends money to harm its own constituents and not to help them. That's what happens here.
Also, not all members of the victims' families want Kohberger to get the death penalty.
Right.
Some of them are quite anti-death penalty and want him to sit in prison
Yeah.
for the end of till the end
He's
of
a
his
young
days.
man. He's only 28. I mean, if
Yeah.
he goes to prison for life, he's going to be in prison a damn long time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we'll see. But I mean, we're not really waiting on pins and needles for that announcement because it's going to be death penalty. We know
Oh,
they're
it'll
going to
come
do
for
that.
sure. Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
He already has death penalty attorneys.
Yeah, he does. His attorneys are death penalty certified public defenders. So we know that's coming our way.
Yeah, no question.
So then the Dateline episode. It was really interesting, except that, Dateline does that thing where they kind of try to connect things that aren't really connected. And I think that Dateline has a tendency to muddy the waters, which I don't really love that. So they start out
especially in
with
this case, because everyone has done that. We don't need
so
muddier water.
bad. No. So what they started out with was a car being broken into in the apartment complex that's right behind the King Roadhouse where these 4 murders were committed. And it's a girl who had been traveling. She left her suitcase in her car and went to bed. When she got out to her car the next morning, she discovered that her car had been broken into. And somebody had gone through her entire car, her suitcase, and like all the things in her car. So a whole bunch of her stuff that had been like in the front seat or in the lockbox were now inside the suitcase, zipped up. And there was a pair of her underwear stuck in the cup holder of the car. It was odd. It was really odd. It also happened many months before Kohberger even lived in Pullman. So Kohberger lived in Pullman, Washington. He was going to the University of Washington. It is 10 miles across the border into Idaho to Moscow, Idaho, where the University of Idaho is. So this break-in happened in Moscow, but Kohberger wasn't even in school yet.
No, but apparently he had visited Moscow a couple of times before school started.
He had, because he came and applied for an internship with the police.
Yeah.
But it's a big stretch. There's no indication that this was actually related at all. And I really didn't appreciate that they started out with that, because I felt like you're immediately misleading everybody that this was somehow he did it. There's zero evidence that he did.
No.
They're trying to imply that, he's been a risk all along. And whether or not he has is up for debate, because they've not been able to connect him to any other actual violent crimes.
No.
Now they have connected him to one thing that was really weird. A young woman in one of his classes had a break-in in her apartment where someone just came in and moved things around enough to you would know that someone had been in your house, moved the location of things, right?
Yeah.
Well, it really scared her. They didn't steal anything. They didn't damage anything, but it really scared her. And she told Bryan about it. He was the TA in one of her classes at the University of Washington. And he offered to help her install a camera system in her apartment. Well, according to Dateline sources, the person that broke into her apartment was Kohberger, that he broke in and moved everything around. And he'd kind of been talking to her and befriending her a little bit in class. And so he was waiting for her to bring it up as his opportunity to offer to set up a camera system for her, which he did. And they're implying, and we don't know if this is true, they're implying that because he set it up, that he had access to those cameras.
Right.
That either he accessed them through her Wi-Fi, which he had the password because he had to get it to set up the cameras, or, and I think this is more likely, if you have a Ring doorbell or any of those kinds of things, you can set up that device on your phone. And when you do, you can then access it from anywhere. Yeah. You don't have to be at home or near that apartment or even on that Wi-Fi to access it. You can access it anywhere. And I suspect that's probably what he did. Dateline said it was because they had the Wi-Fi password, but I think that was stated out of a poor misunderstanding of the way that these security systems work now.
Mhm.
You don't have to be on the same Wi-Fi to get access to that camera. When he set up that new device,
Mhm.
okay, I set up our ring doorbell recently.
Yeah.
When I set it up, I sent my wife an email that
Mhm.
invited her to share that camera. So she set it up then on her own phone. All he had to do was send
Mhm.
himself an email like that, an invite,
Yep.
and he would have immediately had access to her cameras.
Mhm.
But it is believed, not proven, that he did that.
Yeah. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
No,
But
nothing
man, can you
violent has
imagine how
happened to
she
her.
must feel?
Oh my God, horrified. Because these were cameras inside her apartment,
Yeah.
so he could see everything that was going on, and she thinks she's the only person with access to them. So she probably isn't, like not getting naked in front of them and stuff.
Right.
So anyway, they came up with that, which I thought was pretty interesting. That seems more to me like the kind of things he's done leading up to this,
Mhm.
more voyeurism type things.
Yeah.
Some other things that they told us. One thing that I found very interesting is that after he got home in Pennsylvania for Christmas after the murders,
Mhm.
he was behaving very strangely.
Mhm.
His family saw him wearing latex gloves a lot. He'd been out cleaning out his car using bleach.
Mhm.
And one of his sisters actually suggested to the rest of the family that Bryan might be involved in these murders.
Mhm.
And, her dad was like, oh, no, but they were looking for the white Hyundai Elantra. That's what he
Mhm.
drove.
Right.
He's acting really strange.
Mhm.
He's doing things like bagging up his own personal trash, like trash from the bathroom that would have his DNA on it. He was putting in a Ziploc bag to take it to the neighbor's trash when the police came and arrested him.
Yeah.
Like, so what they did before the police came, his family searched his car before the police searched his car.
Yeah.
But he'd already cleaned it. And the thing is, he was under surveillance at the time, and the police knew that he had cleaned the car. They were aware of all of this. They already knew.
Yeah.
They were watching. But the fact that his sister, I mean, what would it take for you to suspect your own sibling of
Right.
4 murders? I mean, they know a lot more about Bryan than they're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most
Without a doubt.
definitely. But I found that really interesting. I think it's terrifying to think that his behavior was that off.
Yeah.
And just historically, what they must know about him
Mhm.
to lead them to that conclusion to begin with, I think is pretty frightening.
Yeah, for sure.
Another thing that we know is that he bought the K-bar knife and sheath
Mhm.
on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's in his Amazon account.
Yeah. Before he ever came to Pullman.
Yeah, he had it a while. And this is the knife that he used, allegedly, that was used to kill all 4 victims. And this is the sheath that he left behind
Mhm.
that had his DNA on the snap
Yeah.
of the sheath. So they've been able to link that back to him that he did in fact purchase that item.
Yeah.
They talked about the Papa Roger account. If you'll remember, there were there were tons of Facebook groups and lots of groups, true crimers and just people in that community who were terrified over this thing. This is
Mhm.
not the kind of thing that happens in that little college town
Yeah.
at all. And so people were really freaked out. And so someone named Papa Roger
Mhm.
with a profile picture that looks like it's an AI profile picture,
Mhm.
but it looks a lot like Bryan Kohberger.
Yeah.
Um, Actually, will you search it and bring it up? I
Yeah.
forgot to add that and I should have. So he did some things in this one group where he was commenting things that were actually things that only the killer would have known. He was asking a lot of questions like, well, why would he choose this group of people? What was his motivation and all these things, right? And then he posts this question, I wonder if they found anything on scene that the killer would have left behind, like a knife sheath. Like he
Yeah.
literally started releasing information as Papa Roger
Mhm.
that only he could have known.
Yeah.
And Dateline says that they have a source that 100% confirms that that was him. And many of us have believed it was him for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the things that he has that he said on that account. There we go. So on the right there, that is the Papa Roger profile picture. Mm-hmm. He looks like he's wearing an old military uniform. Mm-hmm. But you look at that picture from the side, it's very similar to Kohberger. Mm-hmm. And is likely one that in the AI that he produced based on his own face.
Well, and the questions in the Papa Roger, I was in that group and saw a lot of those, the Papa Roger questions, and he was literally leading the group through the crime.
Yeah. Yeah. Just basically saying, leading out with questions that everybody was like, why would you say that? The police have never said anything like that. There's no indication that there's anything like that. And that people had begun to question at that point whether or not this was Kohberger.
Yep.
And yeah, it does not really surprise me that they can actually verify that.
One of the things that he insisted in the group multiple times was that this was a sexual crime. And
yes, that's
freaked out because they're like, there's no evidence, at least released, that anything sexual actually happened. But he was talking about sexual dysfunction, and he clarified that, which I think is really, really interesting because I agree with that entirely.
Well, and in sexual crimes, a knife can be a replacement for a man's dysfunctional penis.
Mm-hmm. And what we know about Bryan is that he was a bit of an incel, Yeah. He did not have good luck with women. Women didn't like him. He was creepy.
Everybody they talked to say he was kind of a strange guy, but
there
people
were
were shocked that he killed anybody. But
back in Pennsylvania, he was icky and women didn't like him.
No.
And so a sexually a sexual dysfunction motivated crime. Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprising at all. Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, that's what I have. Go watch the Dateline episode. I think it's called The Murders on King Road or something like that. And it's really quite good. It's well done. But remember that everything that they're saying that's coming from a source is unverified information. So we think we know these things are true. We won't know for sure until trial if those things are actually true and have been verified. But there's some pretty compelling stuff there. Yeah. Particularly that incident with the woman and the security cameras. Yeah. Has that been going on all along?
Yeah.
Has he been the guy that would offer to help because he's good with technology kind of person and has had access to other cameras as well? I wouldn't be surprised.
And the criminology expert and,
Yeah. Yeah. Has he used that in the past? Because I'm telling you, if you were the one setting up the camera, you would have no problem inviting yourself into that camera.
Sure, no.
There are many different ways to do it, and you certainly would not have to be on their Wi-Fi to do it. Dateline definitely got that part wrong. I think because they maybe don't understand how these cameras work these days. But interesting stuff. Go watch it for yourself. See what you think. We will continue to cover this as heavily as we can. With it being gagged, there are a lot of things we are not privy to. But I am relieved that he is now indicted on all the murders and that there is a trial date coming.
Also very curious to see. I think it's interesting because we had said before that that we had a source that said that they still believe that there is an accomplice and that there is another arrest coming.
Yes.
And this is a very credible source. And
it is.
Frankly, the source also said a lot of things about the Lori Vallow trial that turned out to be 100% true.
Yes, they did.
So I'm compelled with what they told us. And I'm more compelled now because they did a grand jury for Bryan. So one of two things is going to happen. They're going to do a grand jury. They're going to do a grand jury on the accomplice. I have no question about that.
Yeah.
So
maybe already are.
Right.
Because they're secret. We don't know
at all if that's not going on right this very hot minute. If they do a grand jury indictment on the accomplice, we won't know unless they indict.
Right.
If they don't indict, we will never know that it even happened. But if they indict, then that may be coming before you know it.
Yeah.
So that's another piece that I'm super, super curious about.
I am too, especially because that source was correct about so many things in the Valor trial.
Yeah.
This could be, but we don't release things like that until they're confirmed.
Yeah.
And we would never release something regarding a person who is potentially accused of a crime if they're never charged.
Nope.
Because that would be,
Libel.
defamation, and we don't take those risks. We also
No.
think it's wrong to blow up a person's life and accuse them of a murder if they have not actually been accused of a murder. That seems wrong. I know you'll see it in other places. We don't do it, but we will tell you. Just know that it's possible. There's a second indictment coming.
That there is, when he was first arrested, he asked them if there had already been an arrest.
Right.
And there's some pretty compelling evidence here that we're going to see. But again, they're going to go grand jury. No question about it for me.
Yeah, they will.
And so if the grand jury doesn't indict, we'll never know. So it's interesting. I'm really keeping a close eye on that piece because I'm really curious.
And were they a part of this grand jury as a co-conspirator and they didn't indict?
Right.
That's possible.
Here's my opinion on it. If there's an indictment, it will be the electronic data that takes them down. This will be no different than Lori Vallow in that it'll be the text messages, the Instagram messages. It'll be the tech that takes them down.
For sure. That's true. All right, Katie, I know you're going to round us out here with some WTF news.
Yeah. This happened in Peru. We're actually out of the U.S. for a change with some dumbass crime, which is kind of surprising, but that's okay. This didn't happen in Utah, Florida, or Idaho, boys and girls.
We're off the hook for a minute.
Well, some thieves thought that they could break into a shoe store and take off with a lot of shoes that they could probably sell on the black market or whatnot and do really well with. And they would have. They would have. Except for that the market for people who are going to be interested in these shoes has shrunk substantially. They stole 200 shoes. Shoes. What they did
not 200 pairs, but 200 shoes.
What they didn't seem to understand about this particular shoe store is that they actually store the right foot and the left foot separately.
Oh no!
So these geniuses made off with 200 right feet.
That's so great. I love it when thieves completely screw themselves, and they so often do. That is hilarious.
It's about the equivalent of $13,000 worth of shoes that were stolen, but only the right foot. So good luck with that, because your market is very small now of people who may want or need those shoes.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
That is so great. That is the epitome of do your research.
Right? We love it. They also have a good amount of footage, pardon the pun, and fingerprints. And they feel like they will easily collect these individuals at some point. So now they know. They
really
just
need to put an armed guard on the left foot shoes.
Right.
Because, they're going to have to come back.
For sure. Well,
oh my God, that is
probably not now. So anyway, this that robbery really got off on the wrong foot. But
they really put their foot in it this time, didn't they? Couldn't help myself.
Open mouth, insert right foot. I don't know.
Yeah, insert right foot. Oh God, that's awesome.
So there you have it.
Well, thank you. That I always love to end on a laugh. That's awesome. Well, this is our Tuesday episode. We'll be back on Wednesday with another episode. And also Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Mountain is our weekly case updates live stream where we update all of the cases that we are following. And you can join us live on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. And then, of course, that gets posted after the fact as well. So if you can't attend live, that's fine. But we do like to give some updates because there are so many cases that move so quickly. It's hard to stay on top. We can't do an episode for every single update. So we just do one episode for lots of updates. So that show is a do not miss kind of show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.